Roman Education, written by Haley, Alexandra, and Kate.
Introduction. In ancient Rome, education depended on which family you were born into. Poor children were not offered a place in school. Instead, they were sent to work and were never educated. However, wealthier boys who lived in the city went to school. Roman schools were small, with only one room and one teacher. The same teacher taught boys of different ages, from about 7 to 11 or 12. Boys that were younger than 7 did not go to school. Schools. There were two different types of schools in ancient Rome. The first school was like nowadays, as we call it, elementary/primary schools. This school was for students aged up to age 6 or 7, where they learned the basic aspects in education, reading and mathematics. For writing, the students would use a stylus. Slide 5. The second school was where the older children would learn more specific studies on public speaking, Latin, more on slide 6. Most of the schools in Rome were only from age 7 to about 11 or 12 years old.
A normal school day. A typical school day would start very early in the morning, and the children would walk to school and grab breakfast from a stall on the way. When they got to school, they would sit around the tutor and use a stylus or pen to write down notes on a wax-covered board during the class. When class ended, they would erase the writing off of the board and use it for their next lesson. The school day ended around 2 p.m. or 3 p.m., just like we do. Unlike the modern world, the children had to go to school all week, with no break for the weekend. However, there were many religious holidays, so the children didn't have to go to school, and they also had summer break.
Education. Wealthier boys and girls were educated by their father or slaves until they were around 6 years old. Then they went to school until they were 12 or 13. However, if they were very wealthy, they stayed in school until they were 16, when they could manage their own properties. Back in ancient Rome, there still weren't a lot of subjects to choose from, although there were Latin, Greek, math, science, literature, music, and public speaking. This helped boys when they became soldiers, doctors, politicians, or lawyers. Girls would become dentists, real estate agents, or tutors. Punishments. The Romans were strong believers in corporal punishments. Learning in ancient Rome was based off fear. Even the slightest offense towards anything or getting something wrong, the student would have to get caned. If the student continues to get things wrong, some schools would have that student held down by 2 slaves and beat up by his tutor.
Here is our bibliography.
Molta Mesk. Thank you!